Trillions could flow through cryptos like Stellar XLM, and Zioncoins could benefit. Yes, people, you and I can benefit. But how am I arriving at that? How am I coming to that conclusion? Well, first, before all of that, please like, subscribe. It helps us with the YouTube algorithm, and I can keep delivering more and more content like this to you more frequently. It also helps if you watch to the end to get your research in, if you want to make that bread pop, if you want to make that dough. Well, let me just say this. Based on the fundamental facts of the matter, yes, we know, people, and it's clear that blockchain is intertwining, interlinking. It's becoming more interoperable with traditional finance up to the highest levels. We're talking government bonds, 10-year yield securities. And so, with that said, we know we're waiting on the Fed now to unleash its world net, which includes blockchain technology. You may or may not know it, but it actually does. The underlying technology of it is using blockchain technology. But with that aside, Wisdomtree. In my previous video, I said that we need to look, you and I, a little bit closer at what these products are on Wisdomtree. What 9 products have been approved by the SEC? Well, really, if you want it from the horse's mouth, you have to look at the filing to the SEC. And that's what we're going to be doing today. We'll focus more specifically on the 10-year yield filing. Stay with me. Get your research in. It's important you watch to the end. Nathan, over to you.
Thanks for that. And this is the SEC filing we believe has been approved by the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, Washington, D.C., 2549, Form N 1A, registration statement under the Securities Act of 1933, pre-effective amendment number not listed, post-effective amendment number 4, and or registration statement under the Investment Company Act of 1940, amendment number 10. Wisdomtree Digital Trust, exact name of the registrant as specified in the charter. Now, I want to get past this and sort of go to the table of contents. As you can see, we've got Wisdomtree 10-year yield digital fund. That's the information about that. Additional information about the fund, its objectives, dividends and distribution, additional information, funds, trust, investment, additional non-principal risks, investment, advisors, sub-advisors, portfolios. Now guys, you're going to need to let me know if you want me to dig down further into those other investment vehicles, but I just want to cover this one. If you want more information about those other investment vehicles, I could dig deep and just do some more research, but for now let's just have a quick view at the table of contents. So Wisdomtree 10-year yield treasury digital fund investment objectives. The Wisdomtree 10-year yield treasury digital fund seeks to track the performance before fees and expenses on an index designed to measure the performance of the obligations of the US Treasuries with maturities between 7 and 10 years. Fees and expenses of the fund. The following table describes the fees and expenses you may pay if you buy, hold, or sell shares of the fund. The fees are expressed as percentages of the fund's average net asset. You may pay other fees such as brokerage commissions and other fees to intermediaries which are not reflected in the table and examples below. So these fees, so shareholders' fees paid directly from the investment, none. Annual fund operation fees express that you pay each year a percentage of the value of the investment. We don't really see that, but management fees is 1%. Distribution and or service fees, 12BA fees, we've got to look at that. It says none on the table, don't know that for sure, you need to look at 12B1 before that. Other expenses, total annual fund operation fees. Other expenses are based on estimated amounts of the current fiscal year. So that's again 1%. So example, the following example is intended to help you compare the cost of investing in the fund with the costs of investing in other mutual funds. It illustrates the hypothetical expenses that you would incur over various periods if you were to invest, let's say, $10,000 in the fund for the time periods indicated, and then redeemed all of your shares at the end of those periods. These examples assume that the fund provides a return of 5%, and that's where we probably would be looking at with the 10-year yields. We want to, if you're getting into the 10-year, 5% is probably the key area where you want. Lower than that, yeah, okay, 3%, 4%, but no lower than that realistically. We've all seen the banks getting in trouble for that. A year, so 5% a year, and that operating expenses remain the same, although your actual cost may be higher or lower based on these assumptions. Your costs would be 5 years, 3 years. It doesn't state that, but we could work out roughly what that is when they come about with the percentages of the fees. So you've got these fees up here, right? Whatever. The portfolio turnover. The fund pays transaction costs such as commissions when it buys and sells securities or turns over its portfolio. A higher portfolio turnover rate may indicate higher transaction costs and may result in higher taxes when fund shares are held in taxable account. These costs, which are not reflected in annual fund operating expenses or in the example, affect the fund's performance. The fund is new, so it has no portfolio turnover as of the date of this perspective. Principal investment strategies of the fund. The fund employs a passive management or indexing investment approach designed to track the performance of the US 7 to 10 year treasury bonds yields. Index through the use of representative sample strategy. Under normal circumstances, at least 80% of the value of the fund's net assets plus the amount of any borrowing for investment purposes will be invested in the US Treasury securities. The index is maintained by and is designed to measure the performance obligations of the US Treasury, i.e. notes issued by the US Treasury, with remaining maturities between 7 and 10 years. The components of the index are weighed by market capitalization, and the index is rebalanced and reconstituted, on the monthly basis. The index includes component securities of the available fixed rate normal securities issued public by the US Treasury, but excludes securities strips, that's STRIPS, and state and local government series, SLGS. Accordingly, the fund will invest in US Treasury obligations in seeking to track the index and will publicly disclose its portfolio holdings daily. The fund may be required to purchase all sales portfolio assets to track the index as the index reconstitutes and rebalances, and or in order to meet investor purchase and redemption requirements. As a result, the fund will engage in frequent trading of the portfolio's securities. So you could see the use of this blockchain, and I'll read this real briefly, because we need to know about the use of the blockchain, right, as described further below through the transfer agent. The funds use blockchain technology to maintain a secondary record of its shares. So it's maintaining a secondary record of the shares, okay? The following use of blockchain section describes what blockchain technology is and how the fund uses it for its recording of its shares. Although C currencies transfers int although C transfers currencies ints, the funds transfer agency currencies or transfer agent will maintain the official record of share ownership in the book entry form. The official record, the ownership of the funds shares will also be recorded and digitized on the Stellar or Ethereum blockchain. The secondary record, the transfer agent will reconcile secondary blockchain transactions with the funds records on at least a daily basis. Reconciliation involves maintaining and matching official records and secondary records of the total number of shares in circulation, the ownership of the shares at any given time, and all transactions between parties involved in the shares. The policies and procedures of the funds and the transfer agent both address the use of blockchain integrated record-keeping systems. The fund's board of trustees has approved these policies and procedures, including those that address the use of blockchain integrated record-keeping systems. A blockchain in an open distributed ledger that digitally records transactions in a verifiable and immutable, unchangeable way, i.e. permanent way, using cryptography. A distributed ledger is a database in which data is stored and decentralized in a decentralized manner. Cryptography is a method of storing and transmitting data in a particular form so that only those for whom it is intended can read and process it. A blockchain stores transaction data in blocks that are linked together to form a chain, and hence the name blockchain. So we know all about that. But what about Wisdomtree? In order to facilitate the blockchain technology, a permanent shareholder must have a blockchain wallet. Wisdomtree digital movement INT Wisdomtree provides a Stellar-based wallet service through the app, which is what we saw in the previous video, the Prime app. See purchase of sales of funds shares below. A blockchain wallet is a software application which stores users' private keys and related digital assets and is used to facilitate sending digital assets on a particular blockchain. A private key is one of two numbers of cryptographic key pairs. A key pair consists of a public key and a private key, and we know about what key pairs are and what they do, right? Because we're all in crypto, and if you don't, do your own research. It's so important, but we'll walk you through it. In any case, we can drill down into this as much as we want, but there's a lot to read in this filing, and this is, I believe, just one of 9 products that have been filed. So yeah, this is a good place to start. Nathan, back over to you.
Well, that's great. Thanks for that, Nathan, and thank you for sticking around and listening. But listen, I just want to say, hang about. It's important that we do our research and we read through things like this to get a full picture of exactly what's going on. And this sort of information is good for institutes, right? If you're not reading that and seeing how Wisdomtree got approval, then I don't know what you're doing. In any case, with that aside, it's clear that this SEC filing has been approved, and this is happening. Bonds on the Stellar blockchain, and Ethereum for that matter, or whichever one they choose. But the wallet, the Prime wallet, it's a Stellar wallet. Okay, so they may have kicked Ethereum aside because of the fees. We don't know, but they decided to put Ethereum in it. Okay. With that aside, what has ISO 222 got to do with Wisdomtree? We know what it's got to do with Stellar. Stellar has that IBM OpenWire, which they can flip the switch, if you like, at any time. I've got the software. It's open source. Anyone can get it. And that is going to be interoperable with Hyperledger Fabric. Clearly, 100% certain about that. In any case, that aside, that's what ISO 222 got to do with Stellar, but even more so to the point, what it's got to do with Wisdomtree. Well, for that, we need to see what's going on in the next video. So, in any case, I'm Nathan, aka Nathan of Zion. Smash the Zioncoin up there. like and subscribe, and check out the next videos. Check out Banking on Bitcoin Revisited for re-education, and the Fed Now. What's going on with ISO 222 with the Fed Now? And Wisdomtree. Have a great day. Take care now.